So many people dream of financial freedom, and yet so few are financially free. As you go through the training, I encourage you to pay attention to your story and response to the information. For example, you hear something, oh, I could never do that. Or I don't really want to be a millionaire. Most people won't say, I want to be broke in retirement, or I want to be a bag lady. I want to live in a trailer and eat ramen noodles. And yeah, when we're saying yes to something or we're saying no to something, we're inherently flipping that. So if we say yes to having that coffee every single day, that $7 coffee every single day, we're saying no to something else. And what I encourage you to do is take actions each day that are going to increase your odds of living how you want to live, as compared to making choices that are going to pretty much ensure that you're going to be living broke in retirement. Living fulfilled and wealthy on your terms is so much more attractive and so much more enjoyable than the alternative. Hi, my name is Annette Bau, your host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. I'm a certified financial planner and founder of the Millionaire Insider. For over 30 years, I have been advising and researching the top 1% of millionaires, and I am passionately obsessed with money, mindset, and the intersection of self-worth and net worth, and how the two connect and allow us to live fulfilled and wealthy lives on our terms. I'm a Midwestern girl who had a dream, began investing $25 a month 35 years ago, and today have a multi-million-dollar net worth. I teach the tried and true that only someone with over 3 decades of experience advising millionaires would know. This podcast is different, about much more than money. We talk about mindset, success, money blocks, worth barometer, and all aspects of money and topics from practical manifestation, along with real-world how-to and everything in between, with the goal of making your journey easier and more fun. Think of this as coffee, actually matcha tea, learning real-world common sense money and life advice from a BFF that you can start applying today. If you want to create a financially free life you love, you are in the right place, my friend. This is the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. Line up 100 people and ask them who wants to become a millionaire or a multimillionaire, and you're going to see almost all the hands go up, literally like 95 to 97%. And the few that don't raise their hand are going to start sharing with you money stories or excuses. And I know this because I have asked tens of thousands of people in my career. And what I find fascinating is why only a couple of people don't raise their hands and so many people do. And all you have to do is look at people playing the lottery. Instead of doing the work that's more likely to generate wealth, they play a game that the odds of winning are less likely than dying in a commercial airline, which is really low. And when you start telling them what they need to do, the mindset they need, the money mindset, spending, how they need to spend and create a spending plan, how they need to accumulate wealth, and you'll hear more excuses and more hands go down than you can imagine. That's why you end up with so many people that don't achieve their financial goals. And you have, very few people are in that upper echelon of net worth. This is a secret. Accumulating any wealth requires similar steps that you need to become a multimillionaire. And that's where people they're like, oh, I don't want to be a millionaire. Well, even if you don't, you still have to do the same steps. You're just doing them on a different scale. So if you want to learn the path to becoming a millionaire and remaining one, or just getting your finances in order, you're going to love today's insight. The information we provide is not intended to replace any investment, financial, tax, or any other advice. Before beginning, please consult with your own team of advisors and review your situation. You agree to hold millionaireseries.com, Annette Bau, and all affiliates harmless for information contained in these trainings. All international copyrights are reserved. For today's show notes and resources, go to themillionaireinsider.com/6. For all shows, go to themillionaireinsider.com/podcast. If you want one of the best resources on millionaires, you can access our Millionaire Secrets at themillionaireinsider.com/20MIS. That's 20MIS. If you want one of the most valuable insightful resources available on millionaires, how they think, what they do. You can access this free guide where I share 20 of the best millionaire insider secrets I've learned over the last 35 years advising and researching wealthy clients at themillionaireinsider.com/20MIS. The insight you're going to learn in this resource is priceless and it's unavailable because very few people have spent 35 years entrenched in the lives of millionaires. Again, you can access it for free at themillionaireinsider.com/2020MIS. You're going to love this resource. So let's dive in. So what you're going to learn today is how millionaires think, the plan they create that allows them to live fulfilled and wealthy lives on their term, 7 steps, including the exact roadmap I applied to create a financially free life I love. So there are 3 camps of millionaires. The first one are rich and much more likely to go broke or live broke in retirement. In fact, that is probably the scariest group of all. The next group are the wealthy millionaires. And these people are wealthy and the odds that they will stay wealthy is very high. And then the third group are the fulfilled and wealthy people. And I teach from a perspective of this as I personally think, having done this for 3 decades and seeing all 3 groups, is that the first 2 are what I compare to, and plug your ears if you don't want to hear this, but HELL on Earth. It's not a good scenario. It's good for a while, but it becomes really unattractive later on in their life. They look good from the outside, but on the inside, it's a nightmare. The one thing I want you to get as you listen to me throughout this podcast is I want you to get that millionaires think differently. And I remember for years thinking there was seriously something wrong with me because I just don't think like a lot of people. And what I realized is the fact that most millionaires, especially fulfilled and wealthy millionaires, don't. But the best news of all is that even if you can learn a fraction of what I teach or a lot of what I teach, you're going to be so much further off in living fulfilled and with money than you ever would be if you don't apply it. So I hope you take that to heart and really do apply the things I'm teaching you. But I want to start by giving you an overview of the financial freedom formula. There are 3 steps. The first is your foundation. This is your inner game and your mindset. It's where your worth barometer, all of those things reside. The second is your strategy. This is your game plan, how you're going to do what you need to do to achieve your goals. It includes your spending plan, as well as how you're going to generate income and what you're going to do to ultimately create a financially free life you love. And then the third element is the execution. This is what you do consistently to implement your plan so you can achieve your goal. So many people dream of financial freedom, and yet so few are financially free. As you go through the training, I encourage you to pay attention to your story and response to the information. For example, you hear something, oh, I could never do that. Or I don't really want to be a millionaire. You know, most people won't say, I want to be broke in retirement, or I want to be a bag lady. I want to live in a trailer and eat ramen noodles. And yeah, when we're saying yes to something or we're saying no to something, we're inherently flipping that. So if we say yes to having that coffee every single day, that $7 coffee every single day, we're saying no to something else. And what I encourage you to do is take actions each day that are going to increase your odds of living how you want to live as compared to making choices that are going to pretty much ensure that you're going to be living broke in retirement. You know, living fulfilled and wealthy on your terms is so much more attractive and so much more enjoyable than the alternative. All right. So the first step to learning how to become a millionaire is creating a success mindset. Now, this is really important. I didn't say a money mindset. The first step is you've got to create a success mindset. Money mindset comes after success mindset. So in a success mindset, you've got your worth barometer, which is your self-esteem and beliefs, your confidence, your belief you can do it, living above the grid in a higher energy state, creating goals like I am or I active verb, I am enough. So if you need help with your worth barometer, your confidence, or you want to learn more about living above the grid and how that whole process works, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/3. The next part of a success mindset are setting goals. And I encourage you to set your goals in I am or I active verb. I am enough is a phenomenal one. Or I earn how much money? So I earn $100,000 in the year with ease. Or I am divinely healthy. I am or I active verb. Start paying attention to what you say to yourself and just keep a journal. What do you think about yourself? I grew up and I had a very low worth barometer. I spent about 20% above the grid, 80% below, gossiped, thought negative thoughts about myself, other people. I felt terrible most of the time. I felt depressed. I felt overwhelmed, anxiety, all of those things. How do you think about others? I was always comparing myself to others. I was running other people's race as compared to my own. And as I mentioned, if you need help in this area, I encourage you to go to themillionaireinsider.com/3. That'll help you a lot. That'll give you a deep dive into the worth barometer, which is so critical. Step 2, your money mindset. So once you start thinking and feeling like a successful person, and please don't wait until you're perfect, because trust me, you never will be, right? We all have issues. And unless you are 6 feet under, you're going to have issues that come up. The key is if you can spend more time above the grid than below it, I think that's the key. And as I mentioned, I used to spend about 20% above the grid, 80% below, and now I spend about 80% above, 20% below. But once you have your success mindset moving in the right direction, you're ready to work on your money mindset. Now, this includes your money stories as well as money blocks. So I encourage you to begin writing down what comes up. For example, when you see a wealthy person or you think about wealthy people, or identify stories about money you learned growing up. Like, are rich people honest or are they dishonest? You can't be wealthy and spiritual. I always love that one. I'm like, really? Seriously? I mean, money, in my opinion, is just energy, as is spirituality. So why can't you be both? But again, it's those money stories. It's those beliefs. Money's evil. People get so confused. Money is the root of all evil. Actually, it's the love of money that is the root of all evil, if you really want to get into it technically. Next, you want to start writing out your money affirmative statements. So I earn how much in year with ease, and write out the actual year. I or my partner, you can use their name. So your partner's name, and I accumulate X. That was the exact affirmative statement I wrote, even though my husband probably would never have been on board with it, because I just thought, I'm going to set a crazy net worth goal. And as many of you know, in 2021, we hit it, which is still kind of surreal. But the fascinating thing about it is I wrote it out, I said it, I followed the power of 7, and we'll dive into the power of 7 in a future episode. So this is one of the things I want you to get about money, and it's so huge. So please stop what you're doing and come and listen, because I'm telling you, this is a game changer. So I was listening to a podcast, and the person was talking about dopamine hits, which we all know. It's kind of like you get a dopamine hit when something good happens, you make a sale, or something happens where maybe you eat your favorite food. For some people, they get dopamine hits when they just eat. I mean, there's a lot of different people, or some people get it. You get it from sex, you get it from some people get it from alcohol, some people get it from drugs. And so there's a variety of different ways in which you can get a dopamine hit. And it's kind of like where you feel a high. But, the reason a lot of kids are addicted to video games is because it has the same reaction in their brain as if they're actually getting morphine. And that's what's so terrifying. But they understand that. And some of the research, if you look at some of the research they've done to see how they can get people addicted to social media or to video games, is crazy, but it's all about giving a person a dopamine hit. So the person was talking about dopamine hits and long-term drips. And they were talking about alcohol, food, sex, and pornography. And the one thing I just want to say about this is the fact that if you look at all of those, and especially if you look at them from a standpoint of society and you're overdoing them, meaning you are over drinking or you're overeating, and so then you're overweight, or you're addicted to pornography, society does not look favorable on that. So the advantage of all those things, in my opinion, is the fact that society is kind of looking down on that. They're not condoning it or they're not encouraging it. So the benefit is you have some pressure from the outside to get that under control. It was interesting that this person did not really talk at all about money. So I started thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is fascinating, because one of the biggest short-term dopamine hits, in my opinion, is earning money. Now, earning money, there's nothing wrong with it, but this is what's fascinating, is that if you look at wealthy people, they have the ability to get the dopamine hit of earning money, and then they can convert that to a long-term drip of accumulating wealth. Whereas what most people do is they get into the dopamine hit of making money and then spending money, either spending it in their business to make more money or spending it personally to look like they have money. Now, this is what's really interesting, is that society rewards people who look like they have money. Because see, most people have no idea who's truly got money and who doesn't. And I find it fascinating that my wealthy clients, really wealthy clients, drive cars that are kind of like old beater cars. In fact, one of my clients was in my office just last week who knows Warren Buffett. Said, yeah, we both drove 25-year-old cars and he would eat at McDonald's, use his change. And I mean, they're just going over the whole scenario of how he showed up, so unpretentious and so not flashy. And yet what's rewarded in our society is looking like you have money. So you get into this, what I refer to as a dopamine loop. And the problem is most people that are in that loop don't even know they are. And a lot of them make really good money. Now, the more you make, the more the hit is going to be really amazing. And I know because I was number one in the world. I was like in the top 3, 2 years in a row. Well, when you're number one in the world, like one year, I think I was 1, and then one year I was 2, maybe 3. And what's so fascinating about that is that like everyone thinks you are just so brilliant. It's like, well, actually, no, this year I just made a lot of money. But it's so funny. I mean, you get free dinners, you get flown first class over to another country, you get to stay in the penthouse, it's just on and on. And if you look at like literally every company or every major award, they reward people who make the most money. You don't ever hear them saying, okay, now who's going to win the award for who had the highest profit margin or who saved the most money? So, I'm number one in the world, very top of the world. And my income, is X. I then accumulate my net worth goal, which is like literally 17 or 18 times that amount. And I don't have anyone saying good job. See, it's because we're rewarded from looking like we have money. We're rewarded from making money, even if you make money and you spend all of it to make more, or you spend all of it to look like you have money. So I really encourage you, if you're in that dopamine loop, you've got to pay attention. And the first place to start is on your worth barometer, because at a core level, it's because you don't feel good enough on the inside. And that's why you can't get out of the make money and spend money. And even though there are people who accumulate wealth who have a low worth barometer and have emotional issues and don't have a fulfilled life, the key is that as you elevate your energy, as you become more aware and have the money and do the work to have a fulfilled life, that's the optimal. And what's so fascinating about most people is they don't even know they're in that loop, but they are the people who end up becoming a bag lady. They are the people who end up living in a trailer, literally living on a budget, living on Social Security. In fact, I recently was talking to a woman. It was just ironic. I had to call in on a matter with one of the companies we do business with, and she knew my email. And she's like, oh, I went and searched you up. And oh my gosh. And she's talking to me, asking me all these questions. And she goes, I got to tell you something. I grew up thinking we were really wealthy. And my father died when I was in high school, and I had no idea that we were really just rich, living broke. She said, but it was tragic. I mean, we had the biggest house, we had the nicest lifestyle, we would travel everywhere. And my mom now lives on a trailer. They live in a rural community on a trailer in our backyard and on Social Security. She goes, it's just unbelievable how truly broke we were, but everyone thought we were wealthy. I did too, but really we were just rich, living broke. And that's what a lot of people on that dopamine loop do. So don't let that be you. It's just cringeworthy unless you really want to live in a trailer eating ramen noodles. All right, step 3, you got to create a written financial plan, not in your head, but on paper. So the ideal financial freedom formula that you're going to include in your financial plan is going to include your goals. What are your goals for 1 year, for 3 years, and for 5 years? What's your spending plan? You've got to separate out your wants and needs. Now, if you don't know what your wants and needs are, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/2, Or you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/MBT and download our master budget. But that breaks out wants and needs. So you at least have an idea of that. You want to include all your insurance, including property and casualty, your umbrella, disability, life, long-term care, as well as a personal liability policy if that is applicable to you. And if there's any other insurances that are applicable to you, make sure and list those. You then want to make sure you have a tax plan that is coordinated with your investment plan, so you're not paying more money in taxes than you need to. And ideally, you want to be meeting with your team, including your tax professionals, like in October or November, so you can make decisions on what you're going to do to mitigate taxes for that tax year. A lot of people wait until like February. That's too late. You got to do it before year end. You want to make sure you have an investment and a retirement plan that's coordinated so that you've got personal monies that are after-tax dollars as well as pre-tax. And you don't want to get too much money in your retirement so that you're forced to take and pay taxes on every dollar that comes out. You want to make sure you have an estate plan that includes your will and or trust, as well as all supporting documents for durable power, general power, all of those things, medical directives, and then a strategy for putting it all together so that it's going to work for you and your family. That's why having some support can be really helpful. Step 4, hire a professional or enroll an accountability partner. It goes without saying that hiring a professional can be really advantageous, even if you're doing it yourself. Hiring somebody that you pay a fee to help you create a plan, just so you know everything is taken care of. I can't tell you how many people, probably 1 out of 1,000, truly has things taken care of. And in fact, I've seen so many situations where people don't, that I'm just telling you, it'll save you a lot of time and money if you make sure it's taken care of. So if you can't afford a financial professional, meaning a financial advisor, then consider maybe a financial coach or a money coach. They're going to be less expensive typically than a financial advisor, but they're not going to be as qualified. So that's a second option. And a third option is to just enroll an accountability partner, but you want to make sure that that person truly is qualified to help you. So if you find that you're like, well, none of these options really work, then you can access the Millionaire Insider's Financial Freedom Roadmap, which provides you the step-by-step process to create your plan. To access that, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/freedom. Step 5, you got to save more money and spend less. Too many people are more interested in looking like they're wealthy than actually being wealthy. And because our society rewards wealthy-looking people, it's a dangerous, slippery slope. The first step to saving more is to identify your needs versus your want expenses, which we just spoke about. Again, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/2 and learn all about it. But examples of need expenses include rent, mortgage, taxes, food essentials, and utilities. Examples of wants are dining out, entertainment, travel, that daily coffee from the coffee shop, all of the things that you may want, but that you don't necessarily need. Now, some of you are going, oh, I need my daily caffeine hit. But there are other options, right? Like making it at home or, cutting down to one coffee in the morning at your house instead of, the $5 or $7 latte that you're going and stopping by each morning. The key is to remember that whenever you say yes to something, you are inherently saying no to something else. So regardless of the amount of money you're spending, I want you to think about what you could do with that money. I mean, you could invest it so it grows and you start earning, compound interest on it. You could use it to fund your children or grandchildren's college, or you could take your family on a vacation. There are different choices. I just want you to be aware of that, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to give up my latte. I'm not concerned about you giving up your latte. What I'm concerned about is people that have a hard time giving up their latte also have a hard time giving up all the purses they have, all the sunglasses they have, all the trips they go on, all the business lunches they have, whatever it may be that they justify or rationalize. They don't want to say no to anything, because when you look at them from a research standpoint, they're governed by their emotional limbic child brain. This is what I want, so then I get it. What I want you to do is I want you to be conscious in your decisions so that they're coming from your prefrontal cortex. And you're saying, okay, I understand that if I go and I get a coffee, I'm saying yes to that and I'm saying no to something else. I mean, even where I am financially, which is crazy as far as the percentage goes of wealth, I still think it's a very big deal to go to a coffee shop and get a latte, go out to eat. I think it's a privilege. And I think it's something that you get to do occasionally, but not all the time. And so I just want you to be aware of that. The reason I see it that way is because it's so ingrained in my being, because I didn't always have money. And my kids are always like, you've got enough money to spend. And it's like, well, maybe we have enough money to spend because we don't frivolously spend it. It's just such a different concept for the younger generation. All right, step 6. Start investing early. Once you have your emergency reserve set up and debt under control, start investing. If your company matches your contribution, start funding that as soon as possible, because that's basically free money. So if they fund dollar for dollar up to say 6%, make sure you're at least investing 6% in your retirement. Every company is different, so you have to check with them to find out if they match any, and if they do, make sure you are getting that contribution. It's like somebody giving you free money, handing you a check. Over 35 years ago, when I had very little money other than my emergency reserve and my life insurance and a home with a mortgage, I began investing $25 a month. I had to watch every penny. But I do believe that by developing that habit so early in my life that required so much discipline at such an early age, it made my current financial situation possible. And it's also why to this day, as I mentioned, I pay real close attention to our money, how we invest it, where we invest it, what we're doing, if we can make better financial decisions. One of the things that I've realized since I started this podcast is I've gotten a little sloppy on certain aspects of my money. Some investing in, I had probably too much in cash in some of my retirement accounts, some of spending, because we have a lot of different partnerships. And when you have a lot of different entities, as your net worth grows and your assets grow and you put them in different partnerships and you have a different structure, it's easy to get sloppy, not really knowing what you're spending. And I now am paying much closer attention to what each entity costs, what comes in from it, what the expenses are, and what the profit is. And I hope you can do that too. I mean, it's embarrassing to admit like, hey, I've gotten sloppy with this, but on the flip side of it, it's really nice to really start being in control of your money and paying attention to really, truly what we're spending. And my husband's really good, almost to a fault, as far as watching what we spend. And it just made me much more conscious about what I'm saying yes to and what I'm saying no to. So I'm in it with you, my friends. All right. So step 7, my millionaire roadmap. So my goal initially was simply to have a $5 million net worth. I had my emergency reserve. I had 3 months personal, 6 months of business. Now, right now, at this point in time, when I'm recording this, I have several years of expenses, but we're also building a major home. So that's kind of my rationalization, even though I don't know if that'll change once I build it. But I feel really comfortable where I am as far as the amount of cash, even though it is a large amount of cash. And one of the comments I want to make, because everyone talks about the fact that, inflation has gone up, which obviously is not ideal, but they also talk about the fact that interest rates have gone up, and everyone talks about the negative, meaning, you're paying more money on credit card debt and paying more money on mortgages. But what no one talks about is you also are earning more. So, it has been so long since we have seen, 4 and 5% on a 1 or 2 year, fixed income vehicle, a guaranteed one. I just can't even remember it. It's been so many years. And so there are some pluses, even though it's not ideal to have inflation go up, but being able to lock in some money at a much higher interest rate is very different. So an example, if you're earning 5% on your money, and again, if it's an emergency money, you want to make sure it's a guaranteed type of account, but you have $100,000 and you're earning 5%, that's $5,000 a year. You've got 500,000, it is 25,000 a year. You have $1 million, it's 50,000 a year. Pretty impressive. All right, but this was my plan. I wanted to have $1 million in fixed income or annuities, so some type of guaranteed income. I wanted to have $1 million in stocks and $1 million in retirement. Now, The interesting thing about retirement is it can be in fixed income, annuities, or stocks. But that was my thought process. And then 1 million in real estate and then 1 million in my home. So it was going to equate to basically 5 million. And what ends up happening is once you achieve that, and then real estate goes up, stock market goes up, so does your net worth. That's how you become wealthy. Now, your numbers may start out lower. That's fine. The key is to know what you want and then consistently execute on it. So even if you start out with saying, okay, I'm going to have 10,000 in each, or I'm going to have 100,000 in each. Now, obviously your home's going to be a different scenario, but that gives you the framework to start thinking that way. Buckets. So you don't have all of it in one specific bucket. You know, it's easy when you see the stock market going up to have all your money in the stock market or real estate, but you just got to be diversified. And there's a reason you have money in boring, guaranteed fixed income or annuities. And this is something I see a lot more with women than men. You know, my husband's like, we don't need more guaranteed income. I love having guaranteed income and knowing that I have enough money coming in every single month that I don't have to work, that I don't have to do anything. It provides so much peace of mind. It's priceless. And I know a lot of women listening to this can really relate as compared to men. It's like they don't really see it that way, but it's huge, absolutely huge. Congratulations on taking another step to create a financially free life you love. If you're not sure about your financial future or that it's in order, or you are ready to stop worrying about money or possibly the fear of becoming a bag lady, ending up broke in retirement, or you simply are ready to know your financial house is in order so that you can have a bright financial future, please go to themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. And that doesn't stand for non-sufficient funds. It stands for next step finance. It's the next best step of what you need to do so you can avoid an NSF notice in your future. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. The number of women who were not broke or poor while working or married is staggering. The entire mission of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast is to ensure you have the information for you, your family, your friends, anyone who's willing to listen to it and apply it so that you can create a financially free life you love. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. If you love the content, please share it with a friend and subscribe or follow so you can get notified of future episodes. And also, please give us a 5-star review. For today's show notes and resources, go to themillionaireinsider.com/6. For all shows, go to themillionaireinsider.com/podcast. Now, wasn't that easy? So let's recap on the 7 steps on how to become a millionaire. I encourage you to read the copy at themillionaireinsider.com/6 because it's going to cover things I didn't cover. It's going to cover different aspects. So again, it's themillionaireinsider.com/6. So recap. Step 1, create a success mindset. That's your worth barometer, your belief, your self-esteem, your confidence. It's the first step. Step 2, your money mindset. Remove those money blocks and get clear on your money stories so that they are getting you where you want to go. Step 3, create a written financial plan, not in your head, but on paper. Step 4, hire a financial advisor or a money coach or enroll a partner. If you don't have access to that, you can access our financial freedom roadmap at themillionaireinsider.com/freedom. Step 5, you got to save more and spend less. Step 6, start investing early. Step 7, create your roadmap, meaning I shared mine. Now you need to create yours. Start with the total amount you want, identify your buckets and the amount you want in each. Emergency reserve, fixed assets, stocks, retirement, real estate, and your home. My friends, you got this. Until our next episode, take one action that will help you create a financially free life you love. I'm Annette Bau, your host. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye for now.